And there is some things already taking place. They used to have this thing called the box, which was a special housing unit for juvenile detention, but they removed all that. They removed the SHU program, which is more now the Hope Center. And so instead of kids getting thrown into a box for hours with now nothing to do, the Hope Centers are designed where they have mental health department receiving them. They have other programming in place that are going to better receive them with the hopes to get to the root of where it stems from, I guess, on a therapeutical setting. So to me, that's a big change, because when I was in juvenile, I didn't have any of that. And also, being that I'm part of this Arts for Incarcerated Youth Network, my job is to also help bridge the conversation from probation department to the juvenile. Now we're working towards trying to change the modality of their approach, because they come with authority, a protocol, and that protocol can at times be harmful, which prevents probation department to be most impactful, because they can play an effective role, but some of them get constrained by that modality or that approach or their protocol. And so now we're trying to find softer ways, softer approaches that probation officers can contribute. So there is some steps taking place in the juvenile facility for juveniles.
Thank you. Are there any more questions today? Yes?
Hi, thank you so much. Is there an Arts for Incarceration in Orange County?
Is there a what?
Arts for Incarceration in Orange County?
She's asked us, are there arts programs for incarcerated people in Orange County?
Yes, at the Youth Guidance Center, the Orange County Probation Department, they do have an art program there.
Those are
Thank you.
people that are out in the community already?
The Youth Guidance Center is one of our institutions. It's located on Bristol, and it's right there by the freeway. I can give you the information.
Any more questions? Well, then we'll, one more.
I was just going to clarify. I'm actually interested in hearing this young lady's question concerning, is there anything to create an environment for the police, district attorneys, to talk amongst about these issues in a way that it's going to de-escalate the us against them mentality that leads to just a pipeline of incarceration?
There was a project that I was involved with, or actually I was speaking at, and there was a police chief from Northern California it's funded by the feds, I believe, and what the idea now is to do much more what we talked about down here, community policing, because it's so much more effective to have them in the streets with the idea of being there to assist rather than just arrest, to try to get to them before they get into the position of arrest. It's very, very touchy, but interestingly enough, that police chief told me, and I wish I could remember the jurisdiction, I don't remember, but it was a federal grant, and he told me it was an extraordinary program, because they literally got together and they met with people. I mean, they actually had discussions. He went out as the chief and would go into these neighborhoods and say, okay, what do we need to do? Which is very different than we're used to. It's us versus them. So there are some programs, I don't know where they stand now, but I do know that there has been a federal program that started that was the idea of more community policing rather than the us versus them mentality. And I think both of us would say from the public defenders, we find that is so much more effective, and it keeps crime rates much farther down than incarceration does. Engagement works much better than us versus them.
The criminal justice system is based on an adversarial system. The police do the right thing, they put the person in the system, the prosecutors do the right thing, the defense attorney does the right thing, and supposedly the right thing occurs. Well, it's not the case. It isn't. I mean, I know this, the judge knows this too. Those jurisdictions that are willing to have dialogue between the various parties do much, much better. Public safety groups where you have police, prosecution, defense sitting down together and figuring out what really works makes a big difference. Just the judge indicated, you couldn't have a collaborative court, a behavioral health court, or these other courts unless everybody was willing to try and do not necessarily what they thought was best, but what was best for the individual. When I left San Diego, my role was taken over by somebody who didn't have the same outlook. So I learned right away from hearing people that things broke down. Rather than have things work in court the way they're supposed to work, where everything was sort of decided in the best interests of the client, they found themselves fighting within the court over things that would never normally occur in a good system. So it's the people that typically make the difference. It isn't so much even the law, it's the individuals that are applying it. Of course, that's probably true to life too.
And I'd just like to say to you, where did he go? There he is. On our resource list, one of our panelists couldn't be here today. Mondo Cordova Yearwood speaks. I ran into him at a church. It's Black Lives Matter and Blue Lives Matter. And he's a Long Beach Special Forces detective for gangs. And his presentations of both sides of what the police are up against and what the person that is being pulled into the system or what is going on, how they could protect themselves. It's a wonderful, wonderful presentation that he gives, and he does it for free. So his name and email is on the list. So I think we're going to have to pack this show up because we'll have another panel moving in. Our catalogs are available today of this whole show.